everyone, this is Excel Chapter 2, Pause and Practice 1. This one I'm actually going to start the pause and practice. The last one I did more concepts, just because I think it's important as we move forward. Okay, so we downloaded the Paradise Lakes. Oh, I'm going to get rid of this stuff that I put in here from the last movie. And so we want to build a formula. So let's talk about what the formula is first before we just blindly do what the instructions say. So I'm on Cass Lake, and I did want you to notice, look, there's all these tabs, okay, and you see where the colors and the naming can really help, because we really understand what is on all of these. It's very clear what's going on, and it's clear which one we're on because it's the faded one. So we're on Cass Lake, and we want to put a formula in here for rental revenues. So that's going to go here. So even if I didn't have the book, let's look at the revenues. Let's decide what composes the rentals so we can figure out what the revenue is from them. So if we read through this, room and cabin rentals, okay, that's a rental. Tours, no. Equipment rentals, yes. Food and beverage, no. Apparel. Okay, so it looks like the numbers on row 5 and row 7 comprise the total from money coming in through rentals. So I want to put my cursor where the active cell, or the active cell where I want the answer to be, right? So that's here. So in my mind I'm thinking, okay, I want to add room and cabin rentals plus the equipment rentals, right? Those two values. So I'm putting in my formula. So I put my cursor in the cell that's going to have the answer, make that my active cell. I start my formula. That tells Excel, okay, what's coming is a formula. I point to the first piece of my formula, so that's B5, sorry, and we get the blue running ants around it, right? So it matches. So this is blue running ants, and the letters here are blue, B5. Cool. All right, so the next, that's what I want. The next thing is, what kind of a math symbol do I want to do? Well, I'm adding, right? I'm adding these two numbers, so I'm going to do the plus sign. Once I hit that plus sign, the running ants changes to a solid blue line, but it still visually tells you the pieces. So now I'm going to go pick the next piece. So that was the equipment rentals in row 7. I'm going to click on that, and so now that's a red B7. Visually, okay, that is the numbers I want. So my decision here is, do I have more to this formula? Do I need to do another math symbol? Am I adding anything more? Am I subtracting? Whatever. This formula is done, right? I'm going to take these two numbers and add them together. So I'm going to come up here and just do a quick check mark. And in this cell is the formula B5 plus B7. So I'm adding the contents of B5 plus the contents of B7. Don't ever put like 5,400 plus 358. That would be wrong. That would be incorrect, because you're not accounting for if these values ever change, right? The way it is now, it's just going to go whatever the current value is in those cells and add them. So now that I'm here, I can use that data fill handle, right? This handle right here, remember, I go to where the thin black cross is, click, hold, and drag it all the way across to H10. Sweet. So I put that formula in one time. It took and I copied it across, and it has this formula, if you're looking up here, and it pulled the format. So I didn't have to worry about any of that. I'm going to do a quick file save as, because I never changed the name here. So it's going to be initials, PPE 2 dash, and then what did I say? Was there 3? There's just 3 in here, so 3 on the end. So the name of this should be your initials, PPE 2-3, and we're moving on. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. If not, please reach out to your instructor. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is create and copy a 3D formula with an absolute cell reference, because we're already pros, right? So let's move on to this. So we want to select B15. So these are expenses. So let me, before we start this, let me explain how we're going to derive what the expenses are. So the expenses are a percentage of the income. And if we go to the rates and tables worksheet, you'll see there's an estimate, expense percent estimate. So for administrative expenses, it's 8% of the income. Management, 15. Operational, 35, right? So we're going to take the total income, multiply it by this estimate expense percentage to figure out how much money is going into expenses for administration, for management, for the operation of the event. Notice the order: administrative, management, operational. Let's go back to Cass Lake. Administrative, management, operational, right? So to derive this number, I'm going to take the total revenue times this rate. This rate is on rates and tables in G2, right? So when I copy this across, what do you think will happen to this? It's going to, in relation, it's going to move over here and over here and over here looking for percentages. Well, there's no percentages there. The only percentage is in this single cell for the administrative expenses. So I have to lock that down. I have to make it absolute and say, you know, go to rates and tables, go to cell G2, and don't change it. Don't go anywhere else when I'm trying to figure out my administrative expenses. So let's try and do that formula. I'm going to put my cursor where the answer is going to go, make that my active cell. I begin my formula with an equal. I go and I pick my first piece of the formula, which is the B11, right? That's the revenue for April. I'm going to multiply it. The math that I do is to multiply, so I'm going to do my multiplication symbol. But now the piece of the formula that I want to multiply it by is not on Cass Lake, but it's on rates and tables. So I have to go over to rates and tables. It's not a problem. I want to find my, I'm working on administrative, so I find that percentage, okay? So look at the formula. It says, okay, you went to rates and tables, G2. No dollar signs are here yet, so that's a relative. It's going to change. We don't want it to change. So I'm going to reach down to my keyboard, and I'm going to hit the F4 key. It's going to put $2 signs in here, $G, $2. Those are like little locks. It's never, ever going to change. Now, here's a mistake that students make. They go back to Cass Lake. We are done with this formula, right? There's nothing more. Just check mark it or hit enter. Either or. I'm going to check mark it. It takes me back automatically. When you hit enter or when you hit a check mark, it's going to take you back to that answer cell. You never need to return at the end of the formula. Just enter the formula and end it where it ends, okay? So now I can take this and drag it across, and there is my values, and I probably shouldn't have done it to G. Let's take G away because they don't want, I'm sorry, column H, they didn't want us to go all the way to H for some reason. Okay, so whew, all right, so that was using not only a 3D, and so a 3D means you're moving off of your sheet and going to another sheet. So that's what it means when it says a 3D reference. You're moving off of this flat column row and into another sheet, okay? If I had this visually, they'd be sitting, these pages of the book would be sitting on top of one another, right? So you're flipping the book. When you do the page, when you do that, that becomes a 3D. In addition to doing a 3D, we made it an absolute reference because we didn't want G2. We wanted every one of these to reference G2, right? Look at that. The beginning part, because that's relative, we want it to be May and June and July revenues. But when we figure out the percentage, we want that locked in because we want the same administrative percentage multiplied across the second and third quarter. Okay, I am going to end the video right now because we're going to do mixed references. So I want to start that fresh. All right, guys, thank you.